This Business Newsmakers is brought to you by Rondout Savings Bank. Banking your way every day.
Hey everyone, Frank DeRaffele here. Welcome to this week's Business Newsmakers. We're here this week with Rick Gabrielly, who is a speaker, author, entrepreneur, and he is the marriage boss. And Rick, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Frank. Really a pleasure to be here.
Well, look, I think this is a great subject matter, going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into that, tell a little bit about your background. You're up here in Dutchess County now, but where'd you first come from, and how did you get into this whole marriage boss thing, and what does it mean?
I'm a Valhalla kid, and Westchester County originally, and we migrated up here about 15 years ago, my wife and two kids and our dog. And when I was turning 50 about 5 years ago, I decided to become a health coach. I was into fitness, but really not the nutrition element. So I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which is a health coach school. And it's a one-year course. And at the end of the course, they prompt you to try to find a niche that you can specialize in. So I was asking my wife one day, what am I good at? And she said, well, you're good at communicating in a marriage. And so the marriage boss was born. And in my own life, I knew I had, I had challenges communicating with her, especially about money. And so I thought that, maybe if I have this problem, other husbands might too. So I really dug in deeper. And as I started to talk to men and women, especially married couples, I found that it was very common. So the marriage boss helps men, especially husbands, open up and communicate more often and more effectively.
So I want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said to your wife, what am I good at? And she said communicating in marriage. You didn't say, what am I bad at?
No, I didn't, no.
Okay,
no,
so that's the amazing part, because I think every guy would be like, well, what am I not good at? It's like, you're not good at communicating in a marriage, and you were good at that.
Yeah.
So, and what do you think made you good at that? How did you become good at that? Because it doesn't seem to be a natural thing for men, and especially Italian men, in a marriage.
Yep. I was just willing to talk about things. As a matter of fact, she is not as much of a talker as I am. So I think that a lot of guys and women watching this episode may say, well, that's not me though. I'm not as willing to open up and communicate, and it's something that you can learn, and that's one of the things that I teach.
That's fantastic. So, so talk to us about the marriage boss thing. So the marriage boss is what you go in and you tell people what to do. You talk this way, you talk that way. You kind of slap them around and kind of go from there, or how do you work that?
If they let me, yeah. If I can get away with that. And by the way, if you're
make life a lot easier too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it's cheaper if you let me do it that way. If we have to take the long path, it's going to cost more.
There you go.
So it's just like being in an Italian family. The sooner you listen to dad or mom or whoever, the easier it's going to be. If you want to fight this out, it's going to take longer. It's going to cost more. So, and it's really true. If we are willing to learn, at least from people who are more successful, it's like anything else in business and in life. Somebody who's good at it can probably teach you to do things that you're either not knowing. And it really starts with wanting to be in a relationship where you're not fighting as much and you're not arguing as much, and it can be learned. So I can help people start off, first thing we do usually is we find out what's your story. So that's kind of like the question I ask. Where'd you come from? What was your upbringing? And a lot of us learned this pattern of behavior from our parents. So we either saw, especially in my case, my father was not, he didn't want to talk about anything. Whenever we asked him a question, like how does something work, he said, don't worry about it. That was his phrase, don't worry about it. So we didn't worry about it, but then at some point when you meet someone, either in business and education or in a marriage, you do have to worry about it. Then you have to think about it, and now you don't have the tools. So you do have to think about that, and the first thing we do is start with, what made you like this? How did you get this way? And if it was because you saw an example where no one spoke, we're going to change that. So
you grew up, you go into business, you get in relationships, and you're not saying to people all the time, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You got past that.
No, I broke the chains.
Well, and then you wrote a book. You have a great book here, The Hidden Currency of Marriage, or Uncovering the Hidden Currency of Marriage, how smart entrepreneurial husbands build a marriage, family, and business that matters. I'm reading this like tomorrow, right?
It's good. Yep.
So tell us a little about the book. What's in the book? What's the value people will get out of it?
So the book is kind of like a little bit of a story and biography of my own history, and there's some great details in there, some really funny family stories, and some patterns. I definitely threw my mother and father under the bus. I just said, I'm going to put this stuff out there. And my dad passed a while ago, but my mom is going to be 91. When she saw the book, she was really happy about it because she knew that it was going to help other people. And it's not that bad. I'm kind of kidding, half kidding. But I wanted it to be it to really sound like what a lot of people have experienced, like secrecy, the way we keep things from each other, especially around money. So notoriously, men and women will do things, make decisions without communicating with each other because they don't want to have that conversation. So they're willing to risk being found out, and then maybe I'll pay the consequences later, or maybe I won't, rather than to have a guaranteed fight up front tonight. So, if you can relate, you're married, so you can think, sometimes you just kind of do that thing and say, I hope she doesn't find out, or I hope he doesn't find out. And then we think about, we measure the potential. I hope that if it doesn't get found out, cool, no problem, but then if it does, I'll explain it away. And what I say is, let's just open that stuff up early and have the open communication up front, and then we're going to be better off. So it's trying to learn how to be upfront about everything, so that you build a level and a foundation. And you'll hear a lot in my work if you check the website out or read the book. I'm interested in building a foundation each day, one brick at a time. So when we build trust with our partners, and this goes for business and relationships, if you build trust with people, when things do break down, you have a foundation to fall back on. Yeah. If you kind of live in a house of cards, once it falls, it's over. So,
well, what I love about what you're talking about, especially talking about communication in a marriage, is from a long time ago, I remember talking to a gentleman who was kind of a counselor, he was a psychologist, and he said, the quality of our relationships is directly related to the quality of our communication.
100%.
And I was just kind of like, it was a very powerful, simple statement of the quality of your relationship is related to the quality of your communication. If you have bad communication, that's your relationship's going to be. So I think what you do is so important for people in relationships today. I think relationships are a lot more complicated today than they were years ago.
Yes.
With the technology, with everything that's going on. So I think what you do is so valuable for people. So if people want to find out more about you, where would they go to? Where's the best place to do that?
Two places. What we're talking about today, which is The Marriage Boss, you can go to themarriageboss.com. And then because I'm a global wellness professional, I speak, I write, I do a lot of different things, integrate a wellness spa. You can go to rickgabrielly.com. So those two websites, you can find out everything you need to know about me. You can check out the books. I have a podcast. So if you want to listen to this stuff, I also have a YouTube channel with every podcast episode on video, so you can watch me and my guests. If you're interested in watching and seeing the body language, I'm into watching people work together.
Sure.
So that you can get a lot from that, and in your relationships too.
So we can have you online, but also you're going around, you're speaking to organizations as well about the book, about other subject matter as well, correct?
Yeah, so I'll speak in a small forum, could be 5-10 people in a room, men's group, could be a couples group, could be at an event. So many times I'll speak in a library or at a wellness center or even in an office, so corporate wellness stuff. So I'll go in and help people develop relationship skills as a team at work that they can then bring home. Because a lot of times we struggle at work if we have relationship problems at home.
Yeah, and I think that's, just to kind of close up, I think one of the important things, one of the reasons that I wanted to have Rick on the show today is that communication is the basis of all of our relationships. If it's our marriage, if it's with our kids, and it's at work with our teams, with our clients, everything else. So the reality is what you do is so important at every level, but if we have a problem going on in our personal lives, it's going to come to work if we want it to or not.
100%.
So this is an important thing that we have to look at, looking at ourselves in the mirror all the time, saying, how can I get better? What can I do? And by working with someone like you that helps us in our personal lives and our business lives. So I really appreciate you coming in today. Thank you for being here.
Frank. Thanks a lot.
All right.
All right.
Everybody check out Rick online. This is Frank DeRaffele here on Business Newsmakers, and we'll see you next week.